This is Back to Back.
Yo, what's up, back-to-backers? This is Willy Joy. Welcome to the show. This is Back to Back. This is my podcast. You're listening to it. At least, I hope you're listening to it. If you're not listening to it, then I'm just talking to myself, and that's just kind of sad and weird and depressing. But I'm just going to assume you're out there listening. And if you are, you're in for a treat. I've got one of my favorite guests returning to the podcast, a rare return appearance. It's Gesture on the show this week. He and I had been trying to get him back on the show for a while now. Finally, we linked up when I was in LA last week. We had a lot to talk about. He's had a hell of a year, and he just dropped a brand new single called Put In That Work, which is an awesome song. I'm playing it this week on my Sirius XM show, Back to Back Radio. If you've got Sirius, that's every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Pacific, or every Friday morning, 7 a.m. bright and early Pacific time. And Gesture's also got his new record label that he started. It's called Group Chat. He's got a ton of plans for that. We talk about all of this in the conversation. And another big new venture for him is that he's venturing into the YouTube world. And once I saw he was doing that, it really just made sense right off the bat. His personality is perfect for it. He's really fun to watch. He's got some great ideas. He does cooking shows. He meets up with his fans. He takes videos at all the events he plays. So make sure to go check him out there. And the links to everything about Gesture, the music, the tour dates, YouTube, everything is going to be in the description of this episode. I'll talk to you a little bit more about it in just a second. But first, let me tell you about today's sponsor. We are brought to you by my friends over at Serato. And I love talking about Serato. I talk about them all the time. And honestly, I've been talking about them pretty much my entire career. I've been using their products, almost since I started being a professional DJ. And in that time, aside from being, rock solid, reliable company with really useful products, great customer service, they've always evolved along with the times, along with music, along with technology. And now they've got a brand new piece of software called Serato Studio. This is for all my producers out there. Listen up. Serato Studio is a great new beat-making software. It's an awesome tool to add to your arsenal. And if you've been feeling a little stifled creatively lately, or just not feeling like you're as efficient, as speedy as you want to be in the studio, you might want to check this out because Serato Studio really eliminates a lot of the creative roadblocks you hit in other programs. They've simplified the path to music production, so you can just sit down with an idea in your head, get it out really fast. The software comes built in with tons of loops, effects, a big sample library. Actually, Flostradamus just dropped a new sample pack for them, and they're always putting out new content. And what's cool is that you can make a beat in Serato Studio and then just use their stem exporting feature to bounce out the parts into whatever your main DAW is. So it's not going to replace any of the tools you already use. It's just going to augment them. It's just going to make you a little stronger in the studio. So go check them out. www.serato.com/studio is where you go. And if you go right now, you can get a free 14-day trial, fully featured, with no cost to you. So there's nothing to lose. Go check them out. Serato Studio at www.serato.com/studio. So like I said, I met up with Gesture last week in Los Angeles. I was out there running around like an idiot. I recorded just a ridiculous number of podcasts, had some really good meetings. I've been teasing that new music is on the way for me for a while, but we're really starting to figure out how that's going to take shape. I'm so excited to start dropping new music for you guys again. It's coming, but man, I just want this to be perfect when it hits. So I'll keep you updated as those plans keep taking shape. And man, it's good to be back in the studio, but that was just a fun, productive week. And when I met up with Gesture, I was just in the middle of all of it. I went over to his apartment, actually the same place we recorded his first appearance on this show. And that was kind of cool. You know, outside of my own studio, I don't think I've ever recorded in the same place twice before. And so we fell back into the groove really easily. And a lot has changed for him over the last year. You know, like I said, he's heavy in the YouTube world now. That's a big priority for him. And I think he's really starting to crush it on that. He's got a new record label. But more than any of that, I think he's kind of just got a new outlook on life. We talk a lot about this spiritual journey that he's been going on for the last year. And above all, I think why people love Gesture, why I like him as a person, but why people connect with his artist project too, is he's just an authentic guy. What you see is what you get. He's not hiding anything. He's being really honest in his art and in his life and putting it all on display. So if you think about it that way, he's kind of just the perfect guest for this show. And look, we cover a lot of different topics in this episode. Some things we know a lot about, some things that we're probably not qualified to talk about at all. But if anything we're talking about resonates with you, sparks some thoughts, I want to hear about it. So don't forget, you can always hit me up. backtobackpod@gmail.com is my email address. You know, it might take me a few days, but I respond to pretty much every email I get at that address. I love connecting with all you guys listening out there. Or if you just want to say what's up, you can always catch me on social media at Willy Joy or at backtobackpod. You know, Twitter and Instagram, that's where I check the most, but that is across all platforms. And with that being said, as always, if you're enjoying this show, if you want to support Back to Back, if you want to help me make it possible to keep pumping out these episodes every single week for free for everybody out there, the best way you can help the show is by helping to spread the word. If you have a friend out there that just loves music the same way you do, just let them know. And a big shout out to everybody who's been tagging me, tagging the show in your stories, in your tweets, your videos, all of that. I've been chatting with a bunch of new listeners in the last few weeks who have been putting up posts. It's great to meet all of you guys, and you're helping support the show. It makes me happy. It makes me stoked and excited to make new content for everyone out there. So much love to you guys. Keep it up. You really are helping this show grow. We're always working on new ways we can make this exciting and interesting, and new guests we can have, new formats, new ideas, all that kind of stuff. It all stems from your support, and it just makes me happy, man. So yeah, go on. Do it. Make me happy. I don't really have a joke to end that with, so yeah, just do it. All right, let's get into today's episode. We had a blast doing it. This is me and Gesture, back to back. Let's go. But how's it been here? You've been in this complex for a while. We recorded the first time in this place over a year and a half ago, which is crazy to think about. How are your neighbors with noise? Like, you work out of here. You were saying you maybe want to find an external studio.
You know, no one's ever said anything, but I took it upon myself to be like really quiet since I moved in. And I haven't gotten any complaints, like I said, but I did move my studio out of here like maybe almost 6 months ago, I guess, or 5 months ago, just because I want to be louder and I don't want to anger people.
Those are both good goals.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really... I didn't go to school for production, and I don't like have any like really formal training, and I've always just really enjoyed making music louder, and you know, you're not supposed to do that, and
well, it's bad for your ears,
etc. But yeah, it's just like I need moments of being really loud, even if it's not the whole time. Like it's just to hear it better. It might be my monitors. I still use kind of like consumer, you know, the Yamahas, the white, what are they, HMS. So yeah, whatever the reason is in my setup, I like to be louder. So every once in a while, so I just had to I have this little band practice room that we were discussing that I'm trying to upgrade because I don't often go there. Actually, I'm in the same building as Wookie though.
Oh, for real?
He's got a studio in the same building. We were kind of like looking at the same time and ended up getting one.
Yeah. That I kind of know that building. I can't remember if I've actually been there with him or if I've just like talked to him while he's in there. But it sort of reminded me of like a bunch of New York spaces that I knew producers worked out of, where it's just like kind of grimy, and a lot of bands there too.
Yeah,
so
it's
there's like
bands,
noise bleeding.
Yeah, and like when I was gonna move there, it was like I can't remember the price. And then they were like, well, the person before you put carpets all over the walls, and so they soundproofed it, so it's going to be $50 more. I was like, oh, great. I'll pay you, take them down and I'll give you 50 less because they're not going to do anything for me.
Yeah. Some people's idea of soundproofing
is hilarious.
Is
so
hilarious.
yeah, as you know, as from that example, they're not like the most experienced. They just rent out these rooms,
How's your workflow? Did you need an external space for workflow reasons too, or was it just because you wanted to be louder with it?
Yeah, it actually hurt my workflow because I have to go to that space, and I share a car with my girlfriend, so she kind of has priority because she has to go to a job and I don't. So, but that's something else where like, all right, in this next few months, I'm gonna start leasing we're going to start leasing 2 cars so that it's a little easier. Like it's just making these adjustments to increase your workflow. Right. That's kind of what I've been working on this last year is like all the little ways. I read this book called Atomic Habits too. And it's just like humans aren't going to do the harder thing ever,
right?
Usually, unless you're just really motivated, which is why people say to get motivated. But
well, I think it's to do the harder thing, you kind of have to trick yourself a little bit.
Yeah. And so, if there's these speed bumps that make it harder to do the things you want to do, you need to remove those speed bumps however you can, or you need to you need to hide the things that you more typically do that you don't want to do. You have to trick yourself. So one of those speed bumps for me is getting to the studio right now, or when I work from home, it's like this kind of space that we're in. The living room kitchen is a open floor plan, and we got a second bedroom that's kind of like half and half, her studio, my studio, because she's a singer. So when I'm here at home too, it's hard to get off this really nice comfy sectional couch.
Right.
So that's one of my other roadblocks when I work from home, Well,
of course, because I think you get in that mindset of like when I'm working, I want to feel like I'm at work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean? Yeah.
Not that anyone likes the feeling of being at work, but again, this is what we're talking about is you sort of have to trick yourself, whether it's for you, it sounds like maybe it's just like getting a nicer space.
Yeah, exactly.
A space you're excited to go to. I don't know.
Yeah, that and bigger, because I want to start being able to shoot vlogs there. I actually just looked at a space today, which was perfect, except it was like open walls. The walls were plywood. It's for like more like artists and stuff, which was not clear on the Craigslist description. I go there. He's like, yeah, so you're going to be doing music? I'm like, yeah. He's like, mostly like headphone stuff, right? And I was like, what?
Oh,
like, no, where did you get, it's just weird. So yeah.
Well, it's hard to find studio space in LA too, right? Which is one of those weird things. I think most people would assume that's like where all the studios are. Every studio's for everybody. Yeah. But it's actually insanely competitive and hard to find.
Yeah, it's like either practice spaces or like actual built out studios that are probably out of most people's budget for paying rent and a studio.
That's the other problem, right? Is it becomes like a class financial thing because there are studios, but they're being paid for by like record labels and movie studios.
Yeah. So
budgets that regular people don't have.
Right. The plan for me is to find like almost like a back of a warehouse sectioned off space or like a loft style space, but the word loft already has money attached to it. But you know what I mean? Because I want to have like a couch where I can do some live streams for my vlog and like maybe a corner where I can set up a table and some hot plates because I want to start doing a cooking segment on my vlog. So I kind of have like all these little projects that I want to accomplish so that, so the place that I'm looking for kind of can compartmentalize these projects,
Yeah.
That's another part of this kind of like removing the speed bumps is like, if each of my projects has its own space to live in and I don't have to switch it out and set it up every time, it makes it so much easier to like just work on those projects.
Oh, dude, as somebody who sets up and tears down this podcast every single time I do it, I feel you.
Exactly. I put like this grass wall in our studio just to have a backdrop for vlogs because I've done a few vlogs with friends here. And it's just like having to set up the ring lights and put them in, and every time it's a little different because I've just putting my tripod up and putting these ring lights up. So yeah, it's just that'll increase my productivity a lot.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, so you've mentioned the vlogging a lot. You're like semi a YouTuber now. Trying to
in
get
my own head, I am. Yeah. Yeah. My angle, my approach is to be a YouTuber that also DJs and not a DJ that's trying to use YouTube.
Interesting.
That's kind of been my like approach the whole time, because, in YouTube, there's a lot of repeat videos. People just bounce off each other and there's like this hype over like one certain kind of video. So everyone does it. But, my angle, my specialty for that is that I am a DJ and I have this outside audience. So like kind of like living on YouTube and hoping for a YouTube following that's not my followers, because it's a good YouTube, but then also having my music followers, be my YouTube fans also, just kind of building off each other.
You can people can engage at whatever level they want to engage at.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to start doing some production YouTube stuff too, but I'm not, I don't claim to be the best producer or anything. I'm sure I have a lot of tips and tricks. People would love to know that I'm just like, oh, that's what I do. Yeah. But at the same time, it's kind of like a different approach. Like most DJs, producers get on YouTube and like, here's my production tutorial, But I just want to be like a YouTuber who's also a DJ.
Yeah, I like that, man, because I think YouTube, just like DJing, is so super saturated, right?
Right.
So if you were going on there doing the same things, like here's my production tutorial, and it's like very well composed and looks like every other production tutorial, then what are you really adding or offering that anyone's going to pay attention to?
Right.
But I like what you're saying is that you're almost looking at it as separate from the music. Like it's a separate platform that maybe it'll take off, maybe it won't, but either way, it doesn't have to rely on the music. It doesn't have to live or die there.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it kind of came about, like I've gotten into vloggers, just lifestyle vlogging over the past year plus, and I've always wanted to do it. I'm like, I should start vlogging. It's easy. All you need is a camera and, duh. So then I just never did it, because that's what everyone says. Like, vlogging looks so easy. All you need is a camera, and then no one ever does it.
Yeah, of course.
And I had a meeting.
Side note: everybody says that about podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing. It's like you just need a microphone, but like that plus endless effort.
Right.
But
never ending effort. Yeah.
So my manager Danny, he joined on with a new management company. So we had our first kind of intro meeting. And they were like, your socials look great. Twitter looks good. Look at the girl. YouTube, you have 100 subscribers and you have like 25,000 elsewhere. So let's get the YouTube going. And I was like, all right, that plus I've always wanted to be vlogging this whole time. Let's like just do it.
Yeah.
Jump on there and get it going.
Well, that's interesting too. Big shout out to Danny, who I love. I should have him on this show sometime.
Yeah, you definitely should.
Yeah, he's great, man. He's got so many stories. But Danny, your manager, started working with a bigger company, which is Little Empire, right?
Correct, yeah.
And so talk about that, just because I'm interested on a personal note, like the process of going from an independent manager who's years deep in the game, but working on his own as sort of a small unit, now being part of a larger team. What was that like for you? What was that like for him? How was that sort of getting acclimated into a bigger system?
Yeah, we're still acclimating. It's only been about 6 months too. I keep saying about 6 months. I feel like, but a lot of stuff has happened in the last 6 months. It's been a process, and we're still going through it. It's been awesome to have more hands on deck. Obviously, I think that's the biggest benefit. I mean, just more experience, like 2 more experienced people in my corner, 2 more people putting their hands on things and getting stuff done.
Well, how does that manifest? Is it just that it's more efficient, or is it that you're sort of getting advice or new ideas that you wouldn't have had?
Yeah, all of it. Yeah, it's definitely more efficient. That's the number one. Just me and Danny are both like very similar personality types and work type people.
I think we talked about that.
Yeah. So it's like, it's great sometimes, but we always kind of need that someone who's more organized and whatnot. So yeah, it's just more organization, just building upon our weaknesses or our lower skill level things, building upon that and making that stronger. And,
well, what are those things?
Organization for the most part.
Yeah,
I would say. And just, we're ideas guys, both of us. And, I mean, we've always crushed on execution too. It's just, we've always done it great, but it's just nice to have a little more, a little more of a process, let's say,
An
process in place.
System.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've always even though we are ideas guys, it always comes down to just crushing it anyways, but it's nice to have, processes and just more, more people who have more connections, more relationships.
Well, and that's nice to hear too, because my experience, or at least the people I've known, a lot of times when an independent manager links up with a bigger company, it still ends up being sort of like each person's on their individual island. So it's nice to hear that there's at least some companies out there that are more collaborative, because a lot of the time I think it's more about business and more about money. Like a big company will just say, oh, this guy's popping, his artists are doing well, we'll bring him in and we'll benefit and he can kind of use our name. But it's not really so much of a collaborative process.
Yes, Steph at Little Empire kind of took me on as a co-manager. So I think that's the main reason that happened, you know? And with that, got a day-to-day, manager and more just 3 co-managers, to be honest, kind of in a way.
Sounds great.
So yeah, it's been great. I love the team there.
Hell yeah, man. Well, let's talk more about the music side of things, man, because you've got the YouTube popping, or at least starting to pop. And I can tell that's a big priority for you and something that it seems like you're having fun doing. Like, it seems like you're excited to do it.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
As you know, like editing and all the back end stuff on all this extra stuff is just like a drag for the most part.
Well, it's a commitment, right? And it's a never-ending commitment.
Yeah.
The podcast is the same way. The second you're done making the thing, you have to start making the next thing.
Yeah. And you have to, like the second you're done recording it, which is the fun part, is like, at least this is more linear, where it's just like, you might have to chop out a section here and there. But like video, you're just like, how am I going to tell a story with these clips?
That's
and
true,
I have experience with video. That was kind of like what I was doing end of high school into early college. I wanted to do film and stuff like that. So the experience was there, which is like really lucky. I don't have to pay anyone to edit, but at the same time, it's like, it's a lot to take on a whole extra career in a way on top of the music stuff. Yeah,
man. Did your film school experience set you up to be better at this, or has the technology changed enough by this point that you kind of had to relearn?
No, it was more just the fact that I was interested in film, and I was more self-taught in like editing and in that kind of sense, like just the fact that I was interested and had experience doing it. I mean, film school, I left after a semester because we were learning about like framing, and like I was just like, all right, this is all kind of stuff that you either have. I mean, obviously, I'm sure we would have learned a lot, but it was just kind of like, I don't see this being 4 years of productive time for me,
Yeah, you had the foresight to realize that.
Yeah, but also then I went to music school, which is like also similar,
I mean, it can be. Yeah. No, I mean, I talk all the time on this show about my mixed feelings about my music degree.
Yeah. I think we might have spoken on that too.
We probably did.
Yeah.
I mean, what's kind of cool, and I've seen a lot of artists doing this more recently, is that, as everything sort of converges, platforms merge, artists are starting to kind of have to be a one-stop shop themselves.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people who I've been talking to, art musicians, who are learning now video editing and, starting to maybe be a little more public and all of that sort of thing. And what I like about that is, again, regardless if your YouTube career takes off, these are all skills you can just apply back to everything you're already doing.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, you can, maybe make your own visuals for your shows,
right.
Edit your recaps and not have to pay somebody else to do it.
Yeah, that's kind of like, I've kind of stopped. I mean, I still do recaps for really important stuff, but I've also kind of like made the vlogs, the recaps now, where it's like a little bit, because, recaps got so saturated even, like, it's just like everyone has the same kind of, how much can you do with a recap video at this point?
No, they all look the same.
Yeah, there's definitely some people who are doing great, cool, like Valentino Khan does some really cool ones, and, I mean, just people at a higher level who are probably spending more money than most of us.
People have more resources.
Right.
I mean, certainly the people who are able to just pay someone to videotape their entire life, that's helpful.
So yeah, the vlog kind of is like a little bit of like behind the scenes, a little bit of lifestyle, like get to know my personality more, and just it's all like I'm all 100% out there. So
are you comfortable with that? Do you like putting yourself out there like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually kind of like an introverted, shy person.
That was what I thought.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I don't approach people just to have a conversation for the most part. But at the same time, it's like through this channel, it's like it's not that I filter my life, but like it's hard to describe. Kind of, it's just like to most people, I'm gesture, and they know me on a personal level, but I'm like, it's almost performance in a way, even though it's not fake or performed. It's just more like,
well, I mean, gesture it's a side of you, but it is also a character, right? Like in the same way that all of us as artists are sort of.
But that's the thing, because it really isn't though. Like it is 100% me.
Absolutely.
Like I know you're not like saying that, but like at the same time, it's like I do put myself out there to the to the highest level. So it's it's hard to like separate that sometimes, you know?
Of course.
But I guess as the answer is like, even with my fans, I feel more friendly and more social than I normally do. So it's like, yeah, being a DJ gesture, but also just myself is like within the community of my music and of my stuff, I'm just not shy or, I'm out there.
Here, tell me what you think of this take on it. Is it that gesture, the public persona, the YouTube, the videos, like, is that almost aspirational? Like you're putting out like almost what you want to be?
Yeah,
like,
maybe. Yeah. That's a good way to look at it. Yeah, for sure. Or just like, I know I'm putting my full potential into it, as opposed to maybe like being more shy or more reserved in other situations. Like I'm not going to be that way for this because this is my life, my career.
Well, and again, I think that I relate to because, I'm an introverted person. I know plenty of shy people, and most shy people aren't stoked about being shy.
Yeah.
Like I think everyone would like to feel more comfortable in public situations, all that.
Yeah.
So if this is you kind of just forcing yourself to do that, putting yourself out there, and then also being able to sort of tie it into your work and your art. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to look at it. Yeah. It's just me like full forcing it, like no holding back. Yeah.
Right. And I mean, it's interesting too, because I do see a lot of buzz around everything you're doing. It seems like you're really building a community, which is another thing I've been talking to a lot of artists about, sort of building your own little island that everyone can live on, not relying so much on the scene at large or a big cosign, but really just kind of saying, I know I can rely on myself, I can rely on my team, and we're just going to see who wants to come along with us.
Yeah, that's like been the last 2 years, I guess, is just like figuring that out and then really doubling down on it and having it help amplify, what we do. It's crazy because in LA we're like almost level with some of these like B plus. I don't even know the rating. I don't even know what I'm saying. We're on the level of like some crazy international headliners in LA, in the market of LA. But like, we probably couldn't do that at even half as much in the Midwest or whatever, where like dubstep and more EDM is thriving. So
is it also like, because you have like a heavily Latino fan base too, right? So is it places like, LA, Texas?
I mean, there is still like, Texas is better. Arizona
not to say that that's only your fans.
Right. No. Yeah, for sure. Those are more better fan bases, but still even in Texas and in Arizona and New Mexico, LA is like, miles ahead. And I just think it's because I'm on the ground here. That's where I put in the work on that community. And the Latino fan base kind of like, what's the word? It amplified itself kind of in a way. Is like more of that.
Like there's a pride to it almost.
Well, it just means to say that like
you were able to maybe be like
positive reinforcement or whatever. Like because there was more people were it felt more of a community, and then just like
you were more or less sort of providing a space for this to happen.
Correct. Yeah.
And then it kind of grows on its own.
Yeah. And it's a space for everyone too. That's kind of like I do like to like call it a safe space for like anyone. It's not, it's to be expressive and like to be yourself, like I really try to say that and live that. So it is for anyone,
Yeah, man. And, I think we talked about this the last time you were on the show, but, years ago, you were throwing your own parties here, like super small scale DIY kind of things. And I still see that ethos in what you're doing now, know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, 100%. I mean, it's crazy that, now it's like at bigger venues with more money and more people and stuff, but it's the same. I've never felt differently about it, as it's grown. It's always felt the same.
Yeah. And it's cool too that I think you're sort of able to see this community building up, and then you're trying to figure out new ways to engage with them too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And talk a little bit about that and sort of, how you figured out how to connect with fans, because one difference I see with you and your project than a lot of other artists is it really does seem like there's a personal connection between you and the people who appreciate what you do, as opposed to the more like fan standing on the floor looking up at the artist on the pedestal. I think I just take a more like modern day personality approach, which I never really, until you asked this question, I never thought of it in this way. But like, if you just think of like the people who have these kind of communities on the internet, whether it's like something I've recently gotten into, like real estate, there's like this bigger pockets of it's like the biggest real estate podcast blog, but like this guy is just like the leader of it. He's not acting like he's like, I'm you. Like, that's the point. I'm you. And you can do this. And that's the same thing I'm trying to get across. It's like these YouTubers, they live stream with their fans. Like all the modern day internet personalities are all super just like, I'm you. Thank you so much that you guys picked me. I hope you can do the same as me. I'm going to maybe show you a little bit how I do what I do. You're going to grow with me. You're going to learn what I'm learning at the time. Like I like to very much just be like, this is what I'm learning right now. Like, check it out, know, and take part in it because it's helping me, or like. Yeah. And I guess maybe there's a little less like smoke and mirrors, a little less pretense that you're sort of this omniscient artist.
Yeah. I mean, that's, I get that and it works really well, but I guess for me, it just doesn't work for me. I mean, if it's not working for you and you keep trying to do it and you keep trying to take really serious promo pictures with your hood up and looking like hard, but then you're like giggling between shots, maybe you should really think about that. And, if that's okay to be genuinely you. There's that kind of like dark black EDM photo persona of, it got saturated. It still happens and it still works for a lot of people, and no hate on that. But I think usually that takes like a big team of people, and you got to have something. I mean, not that I don't, but you have something really special that clicked in a certain way, and boom, 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 and like it's working. If it's working, it's working. If it's not working, stop trying to like emulate it until you think it'll work, because
man,
better to be you.
1,000%. Yeah. And sometimes, this is maybe sad to say, but sometimes I think it's scarier to just be you.
Yeah.
And to say that, most people feel like they don't fit in exactly, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really weird on kind of a basic instinctual level to just say, no, this is me, I'm weird, I'm different, and I still think it's worth paying attention to. But then if you look at most of the success stories, at least most of the people I admire, even historically, I mean, it's all the people who stuck out, the people who did something that maybe wasn't popular at first, that took a while to catch on. And man, it's one of those things that I wish I could explain better to younger artists. Yeah. Because it's so hard to learn when you're young.
Yeah, it's almost like you can't explain it or learn it without going through it.
Pretty much,
like
man.
If someone told me that 5-6 7, 8, whatever years ago, I would have taken it like, okay, yeah, be more yourself, sure, but like also I want to be cool, so I want people to think I'm cool.
Yeah,
like,
then you make another like trap edit.
Yeah, it's like I want people to think I'm cool. Like everyone wants people to think they're cool. Even that's why we dress up at raves. That's why you take cool Instagram pictures and post them. That's not just DJs. That's everyone in our generation. So think of a DJ as just amplified that, amplified life of, the modern day person.
Absolutely. And I think one thing I do like I talk shit all the time about how social media is, everyone just shows the good parts and it gives these unrealistic expectations. One thing I don't know why I feel the need to compliment Instagram, but one thing I do like is that it does show the potential to have sort of just like a fantastical, crazy, like non-traditional life.
Yeah.
I do like that that's out there.
Yeah.
And I like that we're able to sort of say, you can do it a different way if you want.
Yeah.
I think the finesse of it, though, is just saying that it's not going to be easy and that, you'll probably feel pretty anxious about it as it's happening.
Yeah.
But that it is possible.
Yeah. It's weird, that whole mindset, just like the power of positive energy and anything is achievable if you believe it. It's just like that, like cliche advice. I feel like every bit of cliche advice, this is something I kind of picked up the last year of my spiritual journey. It's like go through every piece of cliche advice and really dissect it. Like, why was this said so many times? And like, if you can like live and embody some kind of cliche advice, like, I can't think of one right now. Like the power of positive thinking. Like, if you believe it, it will happen.
Yeah.
Like, that's actually real. Like, that is like Jesus was teaching that. That's what like all these spiritual people throughout history were trying to teach, is like, if you really believe something will happen, it will. And that's how most of the people like us got to the point we are. Maybe it wasn't as spiritually rooted, but like, I really believed I would do this. I really believed it when I was just in college in my crappy room and like DJing the local bar once a month or whatever. I really believed it'd be better than that. And that's kind of, I think, why I'm here.
Here's my thing. Anytime we start talking about manifestation and the power of positive thinking and all that, I always want to drill down to try to connect the spiritual with like the physical and the actual. So if we take the example of you in college playing at the dive bar and just being convinced that you were going to do this was going to be your life, what do you think changed for you? Like, how did you implement that? Was it just that, you weren't willing to consider other options because this was important to you? Did you feeling this passionate that this was something that was going to happen? Do you think it made you work more effectively? Like, are you able to analyze kind of like what really changed on a nitty-gritty level?
Yeah, it's hard to say because it is really just like, you're shifting your personality, like you're shifting your life timeline, you're like going on a different track, like dimensional wise. Fifth dimension. Is it the fifth? What's time?
Time's the fourth.
Okay. So there you go. I don't even know what I'm talking about, but honestly, you shift your little Donnie Darko time tube thing coming out of your chest. If you really...
Did you smoke weed when I wasn't looking?
You really fully believe that that's your new timeline, then you're on that timeline, you know? I mean, I didn't connect it back to the physical for you. I made it more spiritual.
Made it worse.
But that is real. Like, I mean, you do make decisions based off that, you work harder or whatever. If you really believe it, you say, oh, I'm not going to go to that party because I'm this guy who does... You embody a new personality. I'm the guy who does this.
And then that personality informs your minute-to-minute decisions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then those decisions help inform your personality deeper and deeper. It's like it's this positive reinforcement of like, you make a decision, it informs your personality informs your decision, blah, 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 blah. And that's how you can spiral the opposite direction too, Of course.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, and there's plenty of people, there's another thing I talk about all the time is, it's easy to get bitter. It's easy to feel like, why isn't this happening fast enough? Why are these people succeeding and I'm not? And the bigger that spiral gets, the harder it gets to get out of it.
Yeah.
And you and I both know plenty of people who are just stuck in it and, they're done.
Yeah.
Even if they don't know it. They're done.
Yeah. I mean, that's so real. It's real on like a small scale. It's real on the big scale. But like if you harbor any negative emotions towards other people's success, you're just like turning your fourth dimensional timeline tube completely into the ground, and you're just saying, I don't want any happiness or success. That's what you're saying. It's what you're agreeing upon.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Even if you don't realize it, that's the contract. So, you mentioned this spiritual journey, and now we're talking about dimensional tubes. When did this start happening for you? What brought it about? Like, just take me through sort of the journey, because I've seen it through social media a little bit, but I haven't actually talked to you in a while.
Yeah, we haven't talked in a while. Well, it's actually kind of funny because I think I had first like reached out to you in the beginning, middle of my kind of like spiritual journey,
right? For
lack of better description. And like, I was like really excited, like, dude, we got to get on the podcast. I want to talk about all this stuff. But now I'm like reaching towards the year-long mark of it. And I kind of like went through it, and then like, it all follows this kind of timeline, but let's start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Every like end of summer, I kind of just like get depressed, like every year,
like a seasonal depression kind of thing.
I don't know. Actually, it's kind of happened again this end of summer, to be honest. So I got into looking up, like, is it, whatever. I don't know what it is. There's like this thing that I looked up, was like, because people usually go back to school, maybe there's this like built-in anxiety from going back to, like, oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Like maybe
you're a kid and summer's over.
I don't know. I mean, I'm in LA, which is perpetual. Like, it doesn't feel like summer's coming to an end. So,
well, I would say maybe it's also, this is totally off the top of my head, but in the music industry, like there's seasons of the music industry too.
True.
So like summer festival season, and that's either you're playing a bunch of festivals and it's super fun and then it's over, or you're not playing a bunch of festivals and you missed the window for that year.
Totally.
And then you see the end of the year coming up, and the music industry, everything slows down by the end of the year.
So true.
And you can feel pressure that, I didn't get enough done, even though the year is only half over. It's a weird thing.
Yeah, So I've been experiencing this kind of like period of, through my spiritual journey. Also, I'm kind of trying to like look at it through a different paradigm of like, maybe I'm not depressed. Maybe I'm taking a little break. It's okay to take a little downtime. It's all your mindset. Like, if I don't want to feel like doing this work, I don't have to get mad at myself over it, So
do you feel guilty when you don't work?
Yeah, I'm like a really bad workaholic, perfectionist, like really bad. So I feel terrible. And being in what we talked about with the different environment shifts. I mean, since moving to LA, it's been hard for me to work on music, just period. Like, I lived in a small apartment. I live in this kind of bigger apartment, but still not a lot of space for music, So it's kind of been chasing productivity since I've moved here, which has led to a lot of like, hard times. I mean, mentally only. I mean, my career's been doing great, but mentally it's been tumultuous.
Yeah.
So about a year ago, started kind of reading up on meditation and all this stuff, and got really just opened my mind. I grew up Catholic and really despise spirituality because of that, or what I was told spirituality was.
So you ended up kind of rejecting that.
Yeah, like, I'm an atheist. Like, I don't believe. We just live and we die. We're just all mechanical beings, like that kind of thinking.
Right.
But then I'm like, well, I got to figure this shit out, because I don't feel happy all the time. So what's that about? So started, exploring that a little, and it just like really just took off, built on itself, and just started my main, like my church is waking up, going on a walk or a run, and listening to audiobooks. And like, my knowledge, like I read like 50 books in the past year, from like almost zero my entire life previously. Like, I hated reading. I just don't really have the attention span for it. And I get frustrated reading the same one page 6 times. So audiobooks really changed my life, like changed my life.
What kind of things were you reading, listening to?
A lot of just like spiritual stuff in general. It would just be like one book led to another. Like my first, like I listened to a self-help Tony Robbins book. I think the first one, Awaken the Giant Within. I was like, all right, well, like what, I need to get deeper than this. So then I listened to Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now, which I really recommend. And then I don't know the next, Sam Harris Waking Up, which is Spirituality Without Religion, which is like insanely good. So after that, those few books, started meditating every day as part of this like morning routine of like run, hike, meditate, and listen to audiobooks for like an hour and a half.
Right. So
I was getting through like a whole book in like a week, and like it's just like learning and meditating and becoming more, mindful, practicing mindfulness, and like really just feeling good. Like I was feeling happy all the time.
What does that mean to you? Because you hear that phrase, practice mindfulness, a lot. What does that actually mean to you?
Well, to be frank, I am like living out of alignment with mindfulness in the past month. So you can, once you know what it is, you can feel it in your head. Like, you have to have like these meditative moments, not necessarily sit with your legs crossed like a Buddha meditation, but you have to have meditative moments to really feel it. But your brain just is less disorganized. You're less reactive. Like I posted this video on Twitter, and it's gotten a lot of retweets. So like once something is over 100 retweets, you start getting all these like negative, hateful, just people like who want to be mean. When you're mindful, you don't let that bother you. When you're practicing mindfulness, you don't let that bother you. But when you're just kind of like in your head, in your thoughts, oh, what the hell? This guy's being mean to me. You start replying to people being mean, or like you start getting mad at yourself. Like all that crazy noise that goes on just kind of.
So it's more, what I'm hearing is that it's more about taking an active role in the moments of your life rather than letting things happen to you.
Yeah. And
letting yourself just react.
That description makes it sound really easy, but there's like so much groundwork to get to that point. It's not like, okay, I'm just not going to let it bother me. Like you have to really strip away like your monkey brain, as a lot of these spiritual things call it. You have to have that be the background, and not like the true spiritual self that is fueling you. Like that shouldn't be the background, your true self, That's interesting, man. And do you think, you mentioned you were having trouble getting music done, like having the right space, being in the right mindset. And I've seen, how you've grown in the last year, how the gesture name, the brand, all that has grown. And maybe, do you think one positive effect, like maybe a ripple of you having trouble, being stressed out about the music, is that you were sort of forced to expand the idea of what gesture is. So it's not, obviously you're an excellent musician and you make great music, but now it almost seems like it's not just the music, it's also you as a person, it's also the community that, you're sort of the figurehead for lack of a better word. Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely true. It was about, like the stress of not producing in one way and using the tools that I have to, we all have like a unique advantage. So just saying what's my unique advantage and building off of that to round out. Yeah.
Well, what is your unique advantage?
There's a lot of them, honestly.
Of course.
Would say, the video stuff, just having that experience is like, helped me do this YouTube stuff. Honestly, a lot of it has to do with my family kind of running their own business, I think, when I was growing up. So just kind of like knowing that in order to get something done, you have to do it. Like my parents have a nonprofit children's organization, and twice a year they throw in a school, 2 school gyms, they throw an event, and they do it all. Like ever since I was a 5-year-old, I was helping set up chairs and like, like hands-on, like how do you get this going? Call up some sponsors, call up 100 sponsors, you get one, just that. I think that growing up with that mindset, that's how to this day, I honestly don't know how to let go of that mindset, because like, sure, I could have someone editing videos, but like, I can't let go of that mindset because it's gotten me to this point. And with the taco pop-ups, I'm like, I cook the food in my kitchen because I want it to be my food, like I want to do it. Like,
yeah.
That's what makes it what it is.
Well, for the people who don't know, talk about the taco pop-ups, because that to me was it's a cool idea, but then your execution of it, it seemed like it was more than just kind of like a random, fun meet and greet event. Like it turned into a bigger thing.
Yeah. I mean, it just kind of like grew. It's hard. Well, what I do is make, like the first one was in like a small 15 by 15 storefront in downtown. I just made like enough tacos for like 30 people and just like make the food at home and fry it up in person and put it on a taco tortilla.
And just posted for your fans to come hang out.
Yeah, sold some merch and had some DJs, I guess we did 2 or 3 in that space and did one in San Francisco. And then we did like one at a bigger space and offered more free stuff. I hired local like mangonada people and local churros and like gave it all for free, everybody got 2 or 3 tickets and each ticket was worth one free thing, from there, it's just kind of like using this DIY method of just calling people, setting it up ourselves, like getting some money, some help. We had help from Corona and just figuring it out, doing it all hands on is what makes it so special. It makes it more special to me.
But it grew really big, right?
Yeah. I mean, we did. I gave out 700 tacos at the one. We did one in the back of Academy when I just had my last show there. And I, like at the beginning, I was just like, oh, I'll give out some, like I'll do it on the taco line, and I like gave out, like started giving them out. And then it just got to the point where I literally gave out every single taco, like handed every single person their order pretty much. So yeah, it's kind of crazy.
That's a special thing though, man. And that's, again, that's something people are going to remember.
Yeah.
That's very different from a standard DJ meet and greet where everyone just kind of awkwardly stands in a room and, you stare at the DJ for a minute and then they leave.
yeah, take a picture.
You're right, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is that drives this insanity in me, but I just know that like if it's what I just do what feels good to me, like in this day and age where we're all chasing like how to feel good.
Yes.
Because we're just like we were talking about social media. I swear like social media is the number one like problem in all of our lives, just having our phone in our hand at all times. I'm not better than anyone when I say this.
Yeah.
My phone's right here. I just picked it up and it's like natural to pick up your phone. It feels like it's a part of you,
Yeah.
And just staring at that screen, staring at what people are saying. It's like positive, I keep saying positive reinforcement is so weird. It's your body likes it as like a human, in your brain, like it's that dopamine hit.
Yeah.
So you feel like you're doing something, but you're just wasting, so much.
Of course, man. But then it's a problematic addiction to have because we do need to use it for the career we've chosen.
Yeah.
And so you can't ever really be free of it. So then it's just a matter of trying to figure out your relationship to it. Right.
Yeah.
And everyone lands differently. Hearing you talk about sort of taking a more active role in it, maybe this is back to the mindfulness thing, is that it sounds like when you're using it, you're trying to make sure that it's accomplishing a purpose, right?
Yeah, I mean, that is the goal. I don't want to sit
not
here.
That you're always successful.
I don't want to sit here and say like I'm doing it all perfectly because I'm definitely not. And especially like I said, like this past couple of months has been hard for me. And when that happens, you kind of, we fall off. I mean, that's something I've learned with this spiritual journey is that it is not a straight line up, just like everything in life. Maybe you get some traction on something. Same with career, DJ career. I mean, any career, I'm sure. You get some traction with something, everything's going well. Nothing's ever going to get bad again. And it's just going to keep going up. Yeah. That's your mindset, and you just realize life is not that way. It's ups and downs. It's how you accept the downs, accepting. That's part of the spirituality thing though, is being aware that whatever is happening is happening not for a reason, but I mean, for a reason, but it's not like it's happening because your story is unfolding. It's like, no, it's happening because that's what's happening, and just like being okay and navigating that is huge.
Yeah, and I think being able to, because this is another, we started off talking about sort of natural human instincts, and this is another instinct, right, is that if something bad happens to us, if there's pain or struggle, we want to turn around and run away from it and pretend it's not happening, which usually either makes it worse or makes it last longer or just leaves us with issues. But if you just say, yes, this is happening right now and it sucks and that's okay, and you kind of just let it suck for a minute, then life keeps moving like it always does. And I've been thinking about that lately.
And asking like why is it painful? Why does this harm me? Why does this hurt me? And like figuring out how to steer away from it, like you don't put your hand in fire and go, ow, why is this happening to me? Like this sucks. Life is so unfair. Obviously, navigating your life is a lot harder than pulling your hand out of fire, but it's the same thing. Like if you're struggling, take a look at why you're probably have your hand in a fire, like what happens to me a lot is that I get caught up in this kind of like lack of, like what we've been discussing this whole time, this kind of lack of like structure. And if I start getting deeper and deeper into the lack of structure, I start suffering more and more. And it's just like, why am I suffering? This is so hard. I'm just going to sit here and think about it. Or I'm going to smoke a joint and just relax for the rest of the day because I can't take it today. You just get deeper and deeper into it, And when I'm running every morning and like, waking up, meditating, having a light meal, like doing all the things that I actually want to do. It builds on itself, and that's the whole personality informs the habits inform the personality thing,
Absolutely. And I think I have a morning routine as well. It's not exactly the same, but I go to the gym and I don't look at social media until the afternoon.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good
all
one.
That kind of stuff. But I think for me, this goes back to sort of tricking yourself and tricking your body, is that it's a routine that's familiar. It feels like you're accomplishing something, and because it's not your career, which has its own anxieties and baggage attached to it, it's something else that is kind of just for you, then you're already in the mindset of getting things done by the time it's over. At least for me, I feel way more effective. And not that that's, every single day, but at least you're giving yourself a better probability for success.
Yeah.
And like, I look at that as writing music. Like I was going to ask you, this spiritual journey we keep talking about, has it changed the way you were writing music? Has it changed the way you're sort of approaching your business?
To be honest, it hasn't yet, but that's what I'm going through right now as we're speaking. Like I kind of like learned all this stuff in the last year and gone through the ups and downs of like going really hard on it and doing really great, and then like trying to take a break, but realizing that I can't take a break from like mindfulness, like that's why I don't feel good sometimes, so kind of learning the whole process personally.
Yeah.
So like I've gone through that, and now I'm trying to better apply it business wise. And that's what, I've been talking about with trying to set up a better space for working and all this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And you also, over the last year since I talked to you, you started a record label too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's part of the whole thing, this upgrade, basically. Like I went through the personal upgrade and I feel really good about that. So I'm trying to, take it to the business level and build a team to help. I mean, that's like the whole do it yourself thing. I can't do this myself, and I'm starting to learn that more and more. So it's like learning to have people do different jobs for the label and try to figure out who and what. And I mean, it's cool to me right now because I have like all these like perfect plans in my head.
Yeah.
It's like I set up all the dominoes in a line, but there's like a wall and a door between me and the room with those dominoes set up.
Yeah, you're the idea guy.
Yeah, I'm just like need to unlock the door and open the door and press the domino. Yeah. But like something, I haven't done it yet. And I guess I like to have everything kind of in place, which isn't the best advice. You should always just kind of do it, which I have done. I've like started the label and put my own music out. But yeah, I just have like it's all constructed in my head. It's like getting ready to be manifested. Like we talk about the spirituality. Like I've manifested it, but like I haven't like taken the first step, if you will. You know?
Yeah. Well, and I think the balance you want is somewhere in between those two extremes, right?
Yeah.
Is because if you wait too long, you just won't ever do it.
Absolutely.
And I relate strongly to that of having the perfect plan in your head, but because it's such a big idea, you can't just start doing it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I relate strongly to that. But then the other thing, the other side of it is that if you just jump straight into it with little thought, then you'll crash and burn pretty fast.
Yeah. I mean, that was like I started a podcast once in my life, and that happened, you know. So yeah, you learn over time, especially in this industry, that there's this like perfect amount of pre-planning and just wing it. You know, you really have to find that perfect sweet spot
and the
for
spot
big ideas.
And the spot that works for you too.
Right.
There's so many people I see who I can just tell, even without talking to them, they're trying to do what this other person did.
Right.
And that is always a recipe for failure too, I think.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit for people who might not know, you know, what is the label? What's your vision for it? What's going on with it right now?
The vision is kind of like counterculture, I guess, for EDM in a way. Like it's like there's all this cool music out there that isn't what's popular, and it's hard for it to get, you know, I actually kind of realized this in a big way because I did the vlog at Nocturnal and I said name 4 EDM genres, and every single person was like rhythm, trance, house, and every single person said those 3. You know?
Really?
Or just about, you know, dubstep, house.
So you were just like walking around asking random people?
Yeah,
genres?
literally. Yeah, it was like, it's a little game with like, I give $1 if you answer the correct. You should check it out. It's pretty funny.
Okay.
It's on my vlog, Gesture on YouTube. So yeah, it's just like the sampling of like everyone is at a festival. They know like 3 genres, like most of them.
Yeah.
So it's not that I want to like, you know, everyone says like, I'm going to be the next such and such, or like, we need to bring the underground to the main. Like, it's not so much that, it's just like the music that I love and play in my sets. I know other people love it. I know there's a lack of people pushing that right now because we're in this like Spotify playlist generation. I don't even know what we're going to call this when we look back on it, but like it's a weird time for music. I mean, when I started coming up as a DJ, my goal is to be on Mad Decent. Wow, like they're so cool and different. Like, whoa, GTA put out Booty Bounce. Like, whoa, what's this?
Right.
You know, there's like Moombahton, there's club music. It's like all this weird stuff that no one else was doing. So there's not really like a place for that right now. It's like different derivatives of the same like serum patches and like different.
Well, this is, you know, I talked earlier about how platforms started converging and styles started converging. The same thing started happening to artists.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Yeah. So in the way that I built a community around Gesture, like I want to kind of like take the Gesture and put in group chat my label and be like, this is actually the group chat community now. Like, welcome to the 25,000 of you that are already a part of it. And let's keep growing, you know? Because it's like, that's something that I've found with my fan base is but they're not necessarily fans of my music. Like what we've been talking about. They're fans of being part of the community. They're fans of my mixes.
Yep.
They're fans of my events. You know, they want to see me DJ. They want to hear the music I'm playing. Well, that sounds like they're fans of what I could do with a record label. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like where I'm at. It's like, they want me to be like, I'm like a cultural kind of flagpole or whatever for them, you know?
And what I like from an artist perspective too is there's this strong groupthink, this strong mentality that, you know, you have to be this sort of poppin' producer. Like that's the only currency that matters. Yeah. And again, I don't want to minimize anything. You're a great producer.
Feel that way at all.
You make great music. But you know, we've been talking, there's all these other aspects, and you are sort of getting known, at least for my eyes, for your live shows, right? And these concepts. And that's how DJs used to be known. Right. You know?
That's how I see myself. Like, and I wasn't even like a huge part of like pre-EDM DJ culture at all, because I just kind of got into it when EDM was starting to happen. But yeah, I always see myself as a DJ before a producer. And I don't take offense to you saying that, like other producers, but you, because I am not one of those people. I do not put my headphones on at every second and get on Ableton in every moment I can. Because there are people who do that.
Yep.
And that's awesome. And we need those people. I'm not that person. I love the music I make, but I make 5 songs in a month's period and put them out. That's how I operate, you know? So with all that other time, that's where I build the community. That's where I do the vlogs, you know, like I want to help the people whose music is in my set that people love. Like people be like, I love Gesture's edit of this. It's like, well, that's not even my edit, you know, that's someone else's boot. That's someone else's thing. Like, how can I make that more transparent and more helpful for those people? You know?
Yeah. Well, and this sort of brings me to something else I wanted to talk to you about, which is, you know, we've talked about how you've sort of started to build this own movement, this own community that's not so much about what's happening in the bigger scene. Mm-hmm. But how is it for you now when you do interact with the bigger scene? Like, I remember you put up some tweet I saw a week ago or so about how you felt lucky or cool that, you know, you would be sort of the only different act on a bill of 6 different very similar acts.
Yeah.
And that was sort of the role you more and more end up in now on a big festival bill or a big like co-headline kind of thing.
Yeah. It's crazy. I guess like I just doubled down and it paid off, you know, like it doesn't feel weird. Like EDC, I was on the Bass Rush stage because Bass Rush has been a huge supporter of what I do, and they've helped me throw a bunch of shows in LA, and they're awesome. And like, but I'm on their stage at EDC, and that's all dubstep and hard rhythm. It was like the hardest rhythm back to back, and then like I think Sudden Death was after me.
Yeah,
but like. It wasn't bad, you know, it worked. The fans came through and like, it just works. It's like, we now interrupt your regularly scheduled EDM for like a brief moment of like this crazy party all over the place set. So just enjoy. And for the most part, it's cool, you know, especially when it's a place where a lot of my fans would be.
Sure. Yeah. And I guess, do you have a sense of how people who aren't your fans, but just see you at those bigger shows take it? Like, how's the reception?
I used to get a lot more hate, but I think I've done a good job of like catering to everyone, even though it's still what I love, you know? Like, of course, people are always going to say this sucks because I just want to listen to this one thing, but that's not even criticism. That's just their own thing.
Yeah,
you know?
That's
like,
their own issue.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm a good-ass DJ. I mean, that's kind of, like, I try to be the best I could be, and I work hard at being good. So, you know, if you say you don't like my set, you're probably lying, or you just don't want to like it, you know?
Or you hate fun.
Yeah, like, I mean, you know, like, for real, though. I mean, I don't play anything that's, like, hard to digest at all, you know? Maybe some Spanish lyrics that I don't understand either, but it's still good music, you know? Like, yeah.
Well, and your sets I've always liked because they did always sort of take me back to why I first got into DJing, was that there's a focus on fun. It's a focus, it's not pretentious. Like, you can play old party jams that aren't weird remixes or edits just because they're fun tunes that you feel like playing in the moment. Yeah. And people are dancing, which again is a weird thing to say about electronic dance music, but that doesn't always happen.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, yeah, I look out into the crowd and like you see there's a difference between a typical DJ, quote unquote, killing it at a festival, because there's like hands in the air, jumping, like crazy jumping, crazy head movements. And like I had to get over this. So like I look out in the crowd and I don't see that. But then the reception is like, oh my God, that was the best set I've ever seen. And then I get the fan videos from the crowd and everyone's just like getting low and like twerking and dancing. It's like there's a different movement involved with my sets, you know? And that's hard too to get through, because that's what kind of makes EDM so fun and digestible, is you don't have to know how to move. Yeah. You can just...
No, it's just all like shock and awe.
Yeah. So that's also kind of like a roadblock for people to get into my sets, I think, because there's kind of like this like expectation of like, you got to get down. But like, it's not like that, you know?
Do you ever get insecure playing on a bill with all the other people who are just going hard as nails and getting the hands in the air every 20 seconds?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But like I said, like it was over a period of time, like 4 or 5 years playing EDC before this Bass Rush or 3 years before Bass Rush. So it's like I navigated through it and figured out what really works, what really doesn't work, and adjusting accordingly.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you've always had a close relationship with Insomniac and those kinds of festivals, which is cool. Are you still working with them? You still putting out records with them?
Yeah, well, they're going to be the label management team behind Group Chat. Yeah, pretty much. Or that's the wrong term. Label distribution. Yeah, behind Group Chat. So yeah, I mean, still really cherish that relationship. It was like I built my career off the help they gave me, but in turn, like I've turned my career into something that helps them with like really packed, sold out shows in LA and all this stuff.
Absolutely. And exactly like what we were saying, Insomniac, the people who work there, they're smart people. I think they would realize having an act like you on their festival that might be more heavily loaded with a different sound, that just diversifies what they do, brings in different people to get interested in what they do. Seems like, it's a cool partnership, man. Yeah. I always like that you guys were working together.
I find myself really lucky. Yeah, for sure. And it's a challenge, man. It's a challenge. Like the tweet that I sent out was how this lineup is like dubstep, me, dubstep. And that's a future lineup that I just saw at the time. It's not out yet. Yeah. But I'm actually kind of like worried about this one a little. Not worried, but it's just like, that's the other thing is because I take it so seriously. Yeah. I think that's another thing why I evolve so much, because it's like, how the hell am I going to be me, but also play this lineup, and just like working hard to answer that question for myself. And that's what keeps me evolving and keeps me relevant,
Is that fun for you to try to solve that puzzle, or is that stressful?
Yeah. I'm like I said, I'm such a workaholic and perfectionist. I don't know if I know the difference between fun and stressful, really. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day,
yes, I know what you mean.
At the end of the day, this is all fun. Like, but like it's stressful.
But it's also all stressful.
It's like, it's a giant puzzle. It's a giant abstract puzzle. There's no corner pieces. So,
well, I mean, what's the most fun part for you? When do you really enjoy what you're doing?
Just like seeing the people react to it. That's what I care about the most. Just like, wow, Gesture really just gave me free tacos and I had the most fun of my life at his show. Like that's all I care about. That's why I do so much community stuff, because like, I like that. That's what I like the most.
Yeah. And you can tell, man, you really can. Like, just from watching you as an outside observer over the last year and watching you build up the more public, engaging side, there's an authenticity to it that comes through. Yeah. And so it's cool to hear you say that. Yeah. Where are you at with the touring side of it, the live side of it? Is that something you want to expand more, or are you focusing kind of on specific targets at the moment?
I think eventually, for sure, would love to expand on the live stuff. For now, it's a lot of like, we're trying to mimic what we did in LA and other markets, really. Yeah. And by diversifying my sound a little bit, like my last record, I See You, is kind of like this housey tune. This one coming out tomorrow, so it'll be out when this podcast comes out. Put in that work. It's kind of like an ode to Dirty Dutch, so it's kind of like housey too. Dope. And then the next two are just crazy. One is like Psytrance meets Jersey Club with some crazy snappy jit vocals, and the last one is this huge like festival drum circle banger. Nice. So they all have like my own sound, but I'm trying to diversify a little bit and not just cater to one certain market. And hopefully that translates to shows as well.
I love that, man. You've got the vision, man. That's what I've always liked about you.
Yeah, man, one of the things. I got vision for 5 years in the future. That's like what I'll say. It's just like the execution is key,
Of course, man. But you'll get there. I have confidence.
Oh yeah, no, me too. Honestly, I'm getting excited. Like as you get more in tune with your own spirituality, you kind of like feel the times, your waves of like really pushing hard and like taking a little break, and like I feel it ramping up right now, and I know it's like happens in these like yearly kind of cycles for me. Is like maybe it does slow down at the end of the summer, and that's why I feel weird, but then like because of that slowdown is when I like recuperate. I'm like, all right, here we go, like take off for the next like 9 months of just craziness. Like, what can I do this year, so yeah, I'm getting ready for that, and hopefully that well, I know it's going to involve like this label really doing some cool stuff and more events, maybe more group chat oriented events, but like more gesture style stuff happening more often.
Hell yeah, that's great to hear, man.
Yeah.
So give me some goals right now, either professionally or just personally, something you're working on, something you want to improve.
Yeah, my big goals right now, I think I've overstated this in this podcast, is to really buckle in and have kind of a professional work schedule and start working with more people who are, employees of group chat in a way, and to just really like start building upon what I've done with more resources and a bigger audience. That's the main goal career-wise. Personal wise, same, but just personal stuff, like have a more structure. I mean, it's all about, you can be most efficient in these systems that you set up for yourself. So I'm just kind of like fine tuning those and then getting ready to execute.
Yeah. So you feel like you found the systems that work for you over the last year. And now it's more about how do I maintain and maximize them? Yeah.
And match the business systems with the personal systems, because it'll be like really great work personally, but like a little less work done on the business side, or really great work business wise, but then like shit, I've been eating fast food and like so it's like finding the balance, as we all say, but finding the balance and the best way to make those both work at the same time.
Well, sure. And as we mentioned before, I think as artists, we don't really know the difference between business and personal half the time.
Right. And that's what else I'm trying, like move my business out of my apartment and only have a place of work where I go work, and I have the luxury of being able to maybe like afford that a little more now. So yeah, with success and becomes, more resources, and then using those resources efficiently to be more successful.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Anything else on your mind? Anything we haven't covered you want to get out there?
No, just check out my YouTube. I'm putting like so much love and work. It's like my second career on top of my third career on top of my two others of gesture right now.
He's got a ring light in here, guys.
Yeah,
it's
there's
serious.
a ring light right here. That's how serious this is. Yeah, the vlog's going to be, we're doing more there. I'm going to start doing live streams and cooking stuff and lifestyle stuff. So check that out. JSTJR on, I thought I said G. JSTJR on YouTube and across social media. Tons of new music coming out. These 4 tracks I'm really proud of. So check out I See You, put in that work. Oh My My with Snappy Jit soon, and then a collab with Raw Tech. So I hope you guys enjoy those, because they're a lot of fun.
Oh, that was good, man. That was like a well-prepared, that felt like a rap promo.
I'm also, that's another thing I'm good at. Somehow this stuff just flows out of me. So don't have to practice too much.
I love it. Well, good talking to you, man.
Yeah, you too, man. I'm glad we got to do this again.
Oh yeah, dude. Good to see you. Peace.
Peace.
All right, that's the show. Big shout out to Gesture. So good to catch up with you, man. Much love. I hope it doesn't take us that long again to get back together. Always great chatting. For everybody out there listening, I hope you enjoyed that too. Don't forget, Gesture's got a brand new song out right now called Put in That Work. He's got his own record label called Group Chat, and as you just heard, he's got some big plans for that. And he is crushing the YouTube game right now. So go check him out there too. All the links are in the description of this episode. My name is Willy Joy. As always, you can always hit me up too, backtobackpod@gmail.com, or at Willy Joy, or at backtobackpod on all social media. That's it for this week. I'm going to go back into my cave now, edit up some more podcasts for you guys. There's so much more new material coming. I'm really excited to share it with everybody. Until then, have a good week. Take care of yourself. Go have some fun. And I will talk to you next Tuesday. For Back to Back, this is Willy Joy. Peace.